Hello and welcome to Harvard Plays. This week, I was originally planning to play Blair Witch, the horror game by Bloober Team that just came out on PS4, although I tried recording for that and I got horrifically lost, just extremely lost. For the first 30 minutes, I was just wandering around a forest and I had no idea what to do. So, I had to scrap all that footage because honestly it wasn't very interesting and probably doesn't show off the game very well. And instead, I'm going to pivot to a very different game, 428 Shibuya Scramble, which is a visual novel that was announced at, I want to say Gamescom? I actually don't remember, but I do remember talking about it on the DDNet podcast and saying, hey, I think this looks really interesting, and then immediately forgetting about it. Now, today I saw it was on sale, and I still know nothing about it, but let's take a go. Now, it's published by Spike Chunsoft. It's, as far as I can tell, it's a detective mystery game with some choices and fully acted cutscenes. And yeah, I know nothing else about it except that there's a weird mascot in it, so looking forward to it. Do I want the guide for gameplay to be displayed? Look, I've made my mistakes for today. I've been lost in the forest for much longer than I would hope, so I'm just gonna say yes. You'll have to bear with me not knowing how to play video games because I had to deal with it myself this morning, so too bad. Alright, so this is a work of fiction. Names, characters, and places are used fictitiously, and resemblance to real locales is coincidental, which is awesome because this game is literally called 428 Shibuya Scramble, a fictitious location. Alright, and I've not Let's played a visual novel before, or really any narrative-heavy game, so I have no idea how this is going to go. Hopefully it won't be too boring, it won't just be me narrating over a screen, or something like that. Alright, so we've got a panning shot of Japan. Oh, yep, so this is a fully acted game. Everything is live action, so I actually have no idea how it's going to go. I've never played... I don't think I've played a full motion video game before. I don't know how I feel about it, but I hope that the developers behind this one know how to make that work and know how to make it not feel too weird, as is what can sometimes happen. So I wonder if I would recognize some of these locales, because, oh yeah, definitely recognize this crossing. I went to Japan in 2015, I want to say, and I got horrifically lost as well. This has been a recurring theme of today, is me getting lost. I had no idea where to go. I had somewhere I needed to be, and these crossings which go in every which way, and I was horribly lost. So if this game requires me to have some geographical knowledge of the area, I'm screwed. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's just a regular old visual novel that doesn't force me to be spatially aware, because I don't think I am capable of doing that today. So opening theme's actually a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Yeah, so I imagine they would have had to go through a lot of work to get all the photography done for this game. Hopefully it'll show in the production values, because I'm sure that... I haven't read any bad things about this game, actually. I haven't read anything about this game. But let's see how it goes. Is the guy stuck in this van and is tied up? This is a really weird opening. What? Did that car just explode? Well, okay, I have no context. Guess we'll find out. Shibuya's story is yours to tell. Okay, as a character select, as I play the various mechanics we explained. In 428, you follow the stories of multiple protagonists at once. Sweet. Your decisions impact their experiences as you read the story. What does the day hold in store? Their fate is in your hands. Hopefully you can see them all through to the end. To start, you have two characters, Shinya Kano and Aichi Endo. Let's begin by checking out Kano's story. Okay. Oh, they have little animations too. Oh, this is actually so cool. Okay, so let's just go with what the game tells us to do. Let's not forget anything. Let's not get lost. Just 2 more minutes to go. Shinya Kano noted the time again on his watch, scowling at the slow creep of the second hand. The time was 9:58 AM. Furrows of consternation creased his forehead. He wasn't nervous, but he knew better than to expect everything to go smoothly. Keeping a level head was proving rather difficult. There was no room for failure. Lives were on the line here. He eyed his surroundings. Was the perp really going to show up? When? Where would he be coming from? How would he make his approach? The Shibuya Scramble was as packed as ever, a throng of people crossing this way and that, blissfully unaware of the dozens of detectives hidden in its mist. Alright, another minute and a half. Kano glanced down at his watch yet again. A mere 30 seconds had passed. Detective Kano had been with the enforcement arm of Shibuya's criminal affairs section for a year now, but he'd never been part of an operation this big before. He eyed the young woman standing beside the statue up ahead. She was small enough to get lost in the crowd, and she carried a nondescript attaché case. Oh, it's the Hachiko statue. Hitomi Osawa, age 19. The attaché case in her hands contained the full 50 million yen in cash. Yesterday, her twin sister Maria had been kidnapped. This was the ransom payment. The culprit had called Hitomi last night at home, referring to her by name and telling her to wait by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya. It was almost time, but nothing. Kano was staring fixedly at the second hand on his watch when a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk murmured just loud enough for him to hear. Come on, Kano, quit looking at your watch so much. What if the kidnapper sees you? Kano tried to look nonchalant as he lifted his eyes, but his scruffy character continued. You're too nervous. Just relax already. You're the one acting suspicious, Sasayama. Kano frowned. Why would some homeless guy be talking to me? Yuji Sasayama was the senior officer of the Shibuya Precinct's Criminal Affairs Division, 5 years older than Kano. Okay, so this is going to be in blue. It's the tips, press square to underline and press X, so we can read some extra info on the phrase. Tips that are general knowledge and tips that are specific. Also, it's like one of those tourism games, like Routes Letter. You get to see a little bit about the actual district while you play. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm not going to read that out because there's too many names that I'm going to horribly mispronounce. But yeah, this is the precinct responsible for all these neighborhoods. I don't recognize any of them. I feel like I'm not the person from the team who should be playing this game. I feel like Matt would know much more about this than I would. Alright. He always went a little overboard with the disguises. He claimed it was all part of the job, but word around the station was that he just liked to play dress up. Hey pal, spare some change? Sasayama lurched to his feet and shuffled in close to Kano. Hey, knock that off. Fittingly for the part, Sasayama reeked pretty badly. Well, ain't so suspicious now, huh? He clung to Kano with mock camaraderie, despite the younger man's attempt to pull away. Come on, Sasayama, cut it out. Sasayama's blithe confidence rattled Kano's nerves. Of course, there was good reason for that confidence. This was Kano and Sasayama's jurisdiction, but they were positioned a good distance from where the handoff was about to take place. The statue of Hachiko was surrounded by elite investigators from one of HQ's special investigation teams. Okay, so yep, we can select all of these tips. I'm just going to quickly glance at them, I'm not sure if it's going to be a big deal. Jurisdiction just means where the police are responsible. Okay. Statue of Hachiko, yep, they told the story of the dog who waited for its owner. And HQ is the police department. Cool. Kano and his partner were just there to provide backup if the kidnapper attempted to flee. Look, just try to relax, we'll be fine. Sasayama gave him a wink. A moment later, the radio squawked in Kano's ear. Alright everyone, it's time. Keep your eyes open. The voice continuing in through the earpiece was Koji Kuze, HQ's operations director. Which is, yep. Until last year, he'd been the Shibuya precinct's head detective and Kano's supervisor. We don't know when the perp is going to make contact. Don't let your guard down. Kuze's low, gravelly voice echoed in Kano's ear. I'm sorry, I can't do a gravelly voice. My voice doesn't go very low. You don't sound too worried, Kuze. Kano winced at Sasayama's words. How could the man be so nonchalant? The appointed time had come and gone. Something should be happening. Whap! Kano smacked himself in the thigh to release a little tension. The sound was louder than he'd intended. Though the suit had hid his muscular physique, it did little to dampen the noise. He needed to stay focused. He might be called to action at any moment. The department handled abduction cases according to a certain standard investigation procedure. Was it an attempt to extort money, or was the motive something personal? The answer to that question determined how they'd deal with the criminal. And based on that investigation team's initial findings this time around, they probably weren't dealing with a professional kidnapper. Still, in all likelihood, it was someone with quite a long rap sheet. Probably someone who knew the family, but so far they had few leads on who might bear such a grudge. With the situation so unclear, the plan was to apprehend whomever came to make the handoff on site. If the culprit ran with the money, there'd be no guarantee of the hostage's well-being. Still nothing, Sasayama muttered. There he is, he's here. Kuze broke in, his voice spiking into an excited chirp. Why can I hide that? Kuze's vocal quirk. When he gets flustered, he slips into a childlike register from babbling and pitching his voice. I'm not going to do that either, I'm sorry, I'm not a voice actor. Subject is a young male in his 20s, wearing a bandana and an orange hoodie. Kuze, normally calm and stoic, was now squawking like an excited child. That only happened when he got particularly worked up. Kano and Sasayama steeled themselves. Honestly, that looks like a guy handing out free samples. They could see the subject now. A 20-something male nonchalantly approached who told me to talk to her. Alright people, be ready to grab this guy. Kuze was stationed in the mobile command center not far from the intersection, keeping tabs on the situation via video surveillance from the camera team. The young man speaking enthusiastically to Hitomi. The detective watched, uncertain. Was this really the kidnapper? So I've got a choice here. Can encounter a selection. These choices will change the lives of other people in addition to changing your own fate. Use up and down to make a choice. Alright, the current choice will not impact you or any of the other protagonists. So this is a demo choice. Cool. I feel like this definitely isn't the kidnapper. Look, this guy looks nothing like him. I'm gonna go for B. Situation still not entirely clear. He needed to get a better look at things. The newcomer held a bundle of letter-sized paper which he showed to Hitomi as he went on talking. He tried to hand her one of the papers, but she pointedly ignored him. Undeterred, the young man kept trying to foist it off on her. Hitomi refused to respond, becoming as motionless as the statue of Hachiko behind her, until the man finally gave up and walked away. Guess it wasn't him. Kano felt the tension of the moment linger in his spine. Guy must have been hitting on her, Sasayama muttered. wasn't trying to get yours. I was trying to make a sales pitch for a product on nearby establishment. I don't think that's what hitting on someone means. I mean, she is pretty cute and all. He had a point. Though, of course, something in Sasayama's voice made Kano brace himself. She's got nothing on my Mi-chan. I'm not very comfortable with this music change. Mi-chan was Sasayama's wife. They got married just last month. Let me tell you, Kano, married life is the best. You gotta hurry up and give it a try for yourself. This was Sasayama's favorite topic lately, and Kano was getting more and more fed up with it. Sasayama, come on, just knock it off, okay? The phrase had become a common refrain of his since the department partnered him. Fine, let's talk about your girlfriend then. Huh? Now? You can't be serious. Sasayama leaned in close again. What's she like? We are not having this conversation, Kano muttered, looking away. Oh, come on. Sasayama set his hand on Kano's chest, still playing the homeless troublemaker. Show me your phone. Let me see your lock screen. Huh? Sasayama pawed for the phone. You've got a pic of a girl on your lock screen, yeah? I do not. But he did. It was scary how on the mark Sasayama's instincts were. Hey, cut it out. We're in the middle of an investigation. I am investigating, Sasayama chuckled as he plucked the phone from Kano's pocket. Ooh. His face scrunched up with astonishment as he looked on the lock screen. The heck is this? It's not... Ain't this Masami Nagahama? Who is this? A national star, tends to play the heroine on national morning soap operas or in historical dramas. Her songs must have been a series of national hits, and she's even slated to host the year-end national singing competition program. Everything about her is national. Kano realized he had to bite the bullet. No, that's my girlfriend. Her name is Rumi, and she's... Sasayama cut him off. You're telling me this ain't Masami Nagahama, the famous actress? Because this right here is Masami Nagahama. They're making me say her name so much. Ugh. Like I said, you sly old dog, trying to make like you're dating Masami Nagahama. I'm not. I mean, Rumi does kind of look like her. Sasayama let out a huff. For real? You really think I'm gonna fall for that? There's nothing to fall for, I swear. Sasayama howled, scowled, unconvinced. Alright then, why don't you marry her? Kano stammered, but he had no answer. The truth was, he would have happily married her already, but there were obstacles that needed to be overcome. Okay, playtime's over, let's focus on the job. Sasayama handed back Kano's phone and turned his gaze back to Hitomi. Kano let out a quick, uneasy sigh. But his shoulders did feel looser. Maybe Sasayama had been trying to relieve a bit of the tension. Maybe he should be grateful. By now, several minutes had passed since the guy with the papers had gone away. I'm glad the song's over. He peered at Hitomi. The strain on her face was visible. In addition to the weight of the attaché case itself, the 5,001 10,000 yen bills it held weighed close to 6 kilos. Her slender arms must have been getting tired. Still, she refused to set the case down. She wasn't taking any chances with her sister's life. The kidnapping case had begun the day before at around 7 p.m. This is MPD dispatch. The Shibuya precinct is reporting a missing person, believed to be an abduction. Subject is Maria Osawa, a 19-year-old student at the Midoriyama Academy, last seen at the LL Diner near campus. So an abduction is luring or deceiving someone in the control of a third party. Oh, so if you lure someone into your van, it's kidnapping. If you threaten someone into your van, it's abduction. Huh. A man was allegedly seen forcing her into a car nearby. All officers in the vicinity reported the scene at once. Kano and Sasayama had been working a burglary case in the Jingumai's 5th district when they got the call. The two arrived at the LL Diner at 7:15 p.m. At roughly the same time, several other officers showed up to secure the area, blocking off the entry to nearby roadways and monitoring the surrounding establishments. This is a real shakedown. Inside the restaurant, Kano and Sasayama were met by the girl who reported the kidnapping. It was the victim's twin sister, Hitomi. Could you tell us about when Maria was taken, starting from the very beginning? Kano said, keeping his voice low. My sister and I, we were supposed to go to a party together today. Hitomi was trembling, her voice hoarse. But I messed up at the time. I showed up right at 7, an hour later than I was supposed to. So Maria had gone alone to the party, a mix-up for locals and exchange students. Hitomi, arriving late, had showed up just in time to glance out through the restaurant window and see her sister getting shoved into a car. She described the vehicle as a blue station wagon of Japanese make, so probably the one we saw in the intro. Why? Why would something like this happen to her? Hitomi held back her tears, but she was shaking all over. Did you get a good look at the kidnapper? Yes, it was a man, middle-aged. There was another eyewitness, Leyland Palmer. He identified himself as a lecturer at Hitomi and Maria's school. I saw too. It's like Hitomi says. I heard Hitomi cry out, so I went to the window to look, and his Japanese was halting, as if he hadn't been in the country very long. And I think that maybe the kidnapper was working alone. Leyland explained that he'd seen the man shove Maria into the back seat, then clamber into the driver's seat. If he had an accomplice, wouldn't they have been driving? Neither Hitomi or Leyland got a look at the suspect's face. Kano was interviewing others who had been on the scene, looking for other potential witnesses when his phone rang. It was Yoshio Kajiwara, one of the senior detectives. We set up a task force for the investigation. Get back to the station once you have a handle on the situation here. Barely half an hour had passed between the time the kidnapping was reported and the time the task force began operation. When Kano and Sasayama got back to the precinct station, Kuze had already arrived from HQ. He informed them that a response team had been formed to investigate the victim's home. So, it's 150 people working on the case. And response team assembled at the victim's home, led by an investigator with training. Kano could feel a peculiar tension in the air. Unfamiliar MPD detectives scurried to and fro around the Shibuya offices. He pulled one of them aside to get a quick update. An hour had passed since the kidnapping. There had been one new development. The perpetrator had made a threatening call to the victim's home. He said the following: Tomorrow, 10 AM, by Hachiko in Shibuya. Have the sister, Hitomi, bring 50 million yen. If not, the girl's life is forfeit. Investigator's just eating a banana in this photo. It takes away the seriousness of it. Kajiwara from the precinct was put on the response team along with detectives from elsewhere who had received special training in abduction cases. Normally, a local precinct detective wouldn't have gone undercover in a victim's home. Kuzi, however, had decided that having a knowledgeable local was crucial and had sent Kajiwara along. So they're really clear about this association with Shibuya area as well. The detectives disguise themselves as delivery people and movers to make their way inside without arousing suspicion, arriving there at 8:30. The response team had come prepared to run a trace if the kidnapper had contacted the family a second time. So I guess a trace is just tracking the phone call. But there were no further calls. Kano checked his watch again. 20 minutes had now passed since the time designated for the ransom handoff. The kidnapper had yet to appear. Crap, you'd think we might have spooked him? He wondered aloud. Hey, stay calm. Sasayama scanned the passing throng. He's just playing with us. Why did this guy even pick this place? Kano voiced the question he'd been asking himself since he heard the kidnapper's demands. Sasayama shrugged. Figured he must want to blend in with the crowd, nab the money and disappear before anyone knows he's there, would be my guess. In that case, why not pick Shinjuku or Ginza? The big crowd just didn't just benefit the kidnapper after all. It also allowed the police to use the sea of people to conceal their own operation. Right now, there were 50 detectives stationed within a 50-meter radius of where Hitomi stood. The kidnapper would be taking a major risk if his plan was to nab the ransom money and run. That's what bothered Kano. Any criminal with half a brain would know better than to do a handoff in front of Hachiko. You're overthinking things, pal, Sasayama grumbled. No, I'm not. Kano reached into his pocket and pulled out his notepad. This was Kano's Dick Diary, which he always kept close at hand. It's a very unfortunate name for a diary, my friend. Sasayama rolled his eyes. That thing again? Kano ignored him, flipping through the notepad pages. Aha, here it is. His handwriting is enormous. Dick Dictum, 89. The more irrelevant something seems, the more relevant it's bound to be. This is like the opposite of Occam's razor. I really hope this guy doesn't live by this. It was a favorite saying of Kyozo Tateno, an assistant inspector from the Shibuya precinct. Tateno was the kind of detective Kano aspired to be. From the current operation, he'd been placed in charge of Hitomi's personal safety. He was in position to defend her as soon as the ransom had been handed off. Of course, Hitomi hadn't been informed of how much protection she was under. There was a risk that if she acted too secure, it might alert the kidnapper. I think Tateno has the right idea. Sasayama snorted quietly. Maybe, he's a great detective, don't get me wrong. But do you know how many irrelevant things there are to consider? Again, Kano ignored him. It didn't matter if no one else understood. Kano had faith in Tateno, as both a detective and as an individual. He had first witnessed Tateno's brilliance during a standoff at a financial company 3 years earlier. A man had shut himself in an office, splashing gasoline everywhere and threatening to set the place ablaze. While the others hesitated, Tateno unflinchingly doused himself with gasoline and strode into the building, where he managed to talk the man down and secure the scene. The others had been awestruck by Tateno's actions, and Kano, who at the time had been content to be a run-of-the-mill policeman, had found it quite inspiring. Still, Sasayama murmured under his breath. As great a detective as Tateno is, it's not like anyone else in the world had ever heard of him. I suppose not, Kano said. So? Only time anyone ever hears a cop's name is if he's caught up in some scandal or killed in the line of duty. Sasayama's eating a banana too. Why is everyone in this game eating bananas? Doesn't really seem fair, does it? Kano just shrugged. It was a strange definition of unfair, really. You've got celebrity chefs and celebrity hairdressers and stuff, so how come no celebrity gumshoes, Look, please, can you just focus on what we're doing here? Kano rubbed his eyes, then turned his attention back to Hitomi. What's the matter? Didn't sleep? Not enough, I guess. Did you eat? Didn't have time. Between bringing in supplies for the base of operations, readying the team's vehicles, photocopying hundreds of documents, and various other tasks, Kano had barely slept the previous night, and hadn't got a meal in either. What have you been doing? Sasayama puffed out his chest. Saving up my energy for today. So you were sleeping. Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. There he is! Kuze's voice chirped suddenly through Kano's earpiece. A man in his 20s wearing a sleeveless red jacket. He's carrying a garbage bag. Alright, this guy looks sus. A young man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet where Hitomi was standing. He strode towards her, a sinister look on his face. He didn't match Hitomi's description, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper had hired some young street punk to snatch the ransom payment. That our guy? What do you think, Kano? Sasayama whispered. Yeah, I think it's got to be. This was it. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. He bent his knees, ready to act fast. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. Could this be the culprit? Or perhaps... The young man tried to snatch the briefcase from Hitomi, but she clung to it with desperate strength. It was him! The detectives rushed in. Whoa, hey, what the hell? The young man cried out frantically and tried to dart away, but the officers closed in, forcing him bodily to the ground. Target secured! Oh geez, I think we've got another suspect on the scene. Eek, he's taken the ransom! Kuze's hysterics made Kano spin around. Sure enough, a foreign-looking man was sprinting away, attaché case in hand. The mob of detectives scrambled off to pursue. Before Kano could react, most of them had run off, leaving him to look after the original suspects. What should we do with this guy, sir? He might have had some connection to the kidnapper. Should I bring him in? Huh? Oh, sure, that'd be swell. I'm on it. With the help of one of the remaining detectives, Kano brought the suspect back to the Shibuya precinct. Look, how many times do we have to go through this? Cut the crap. In the interrogation room, the young man, who gave his name as Aichi Endo, steadfastly insisted on his innocence. So this was the other guy we could have played as. Why'd you try to steal that case? Kano watched Aichi's face intently. Like I said, it looked heavy, so I was just trying to help her out. It wasn't inconceivable that a young guy would try to help out a pretty girl. But Hitomi had just been standing there, hardly in desperate need of assistance. She hadn't set the case down, so I figured there had to be something important inside. An entry from Kano's dick diary shot through his mind. Is he gonna be referring to his dick diary this entire time? Dick dictum number 25. When the tongue slips, you grab it and yank out the truth. Classic advice for questioning. Something important, you say, such as, how the heck would I know? Aichi spat. He huffed and slumped back into his chair. The standard textbook back and forth had been going for nearly an hour. Kano didn't mind. Chasing down criminals was all well and good, but questioning suspects was another key part of the job. Plenty of off-scene work went into cracking the case. Once again, he had Ashi explain what he'd been doing, starting from the beginning. When Kano finally emerged from the interrogation room for a short break, he learned that there had been some progress in the case at the crime scene. What the police hadn't been able to determine yet, however, was whether or not Maria was safe. Fighting back his anxiety, Kano consulted his dick diary. Dick dictum number 54. Haste makes waste. He felt his tension subside. Remembering the right maximum always helped. It was like casting a magic spell. I don't know about you guys, but I hate this guy right now. The fact that he just has a diary that he calls his dick diary, that's full of advice that he lives by, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. Maybe culturally it's meant to be seen as more of a respectable thing to do this, and maybe part of the translation isn't helping, but I don't know, I've just never met anybody like this before. Kano returned to confront Ashi once more. You were there to act as a distraction, to mess with the investigation, weren't you? Huh? Ashi looked a bit dumbfounded. What are you on about? Dick dictum number 55. The truth hungers to be free. You hungry? Get some katsudon if you like. Oh, I'm really hungry now. So if you don't know about katsudon's a rice bowl with like a fried cutlet on top, and there's some egg, and it's just really good. Oh man, I'm so hungry. Achi nodded silently. Oh, they actually go get the food. Achi devoured the bowl of katsudon with gusto. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a while. Alright then, spill it. What's this guy after? Achi just shrugged. I don't know, he murmured, a thick slice of egg-laden pork between his teeth. How many accomplices do you have? Kano asked, but Ashi just shook his head as he inhaled his food. Resignedly, Kano flipped through his notebook once more. Let's see, number 115. Use the lights to your advantage. As the minutes ticked past, he found himself referring to his book again and again, trying a dozen different methods to tease out whatever his suspect might be hiding. The experience began to feel strangely surreal, their two voices echoing hollowly in the interrogation room. Eventually, Kano looked at the clock and realized that the questioning had been going on for nearly 5 hours. He still hadn't made any headway. What was he supposed to do next? Tatene would know, but he sure didn't. Still, he was determined to do whatever he could to keep the victim and her family safe. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he perused the dick diary like it was scripture. Number 116. The monotonous questioning was clearly tiring Achi out. His eyelids drooped like they were beginning to get heavy. Number 117. Get 'em where they're tired. Kano's eyes gleamed. You're part of some criminal gang, huh? And he's fallen asleep. Achi's head slumped forward heavily. Nodding off was basically the same as nodding. Yes, right? He's so happy. He's got the biggest cheesy grin right now. Mr. Kuze, I did it. The young guy we grabbed the handoff site, he finally confessed to the crime. What are you talking about? Kuze laughed in disbelief. We're just about to apprehend the mastermind here. Huh? Kano clutched his cell phone, dumbstruck. Listen, why don't you, Look, just wait there at HQ, okay? No, it can't be. After the kidnapping case wrapped up, Kano tendered his resignation. Guess I'm not cut out to be a detective after all, he thought to himself. Oh no. He dropped the dick diary on his desk as he left the Shibuya precinct for the last time. I feel so bad for insulting this guy now. He lost his job. Oh, he didn't. He quit, but still. It feels bad. It feels really bad when you think you're really good at something and you find out that actually maybe you weren't so good at it. I didn't know this game would give me a bad end just like that. I don't Okay, so one of the other protagonists has an impact on Kano's fate here. You can avoid a bad end by making proper decisions in another character's story. For a detailed hint, check the tip. So this game played me. I was supposed to go and play Achi's story before I played Kano's story. Otherwise, Kano literally gives up his job and the story ends. Okay, that's pretty funny actually. I enjoy that. When I started this game, I had no idea what the tone was going to be because the trailer makes it look so bombastic and funny, and the whole last story has been so textbook detective genre harsh, right? So I know things do get weirder as we go on, so hopefully, this next bit is going to be more interesting. And yeah, my throat's getting tired from reciting all of this, but hey, I actually don't mind. I like the story, and I like that the text is really big. This is one of my main complaints with visual novels, is that sometimes the text size is so small and you can't read it. This one, no, this one's great. Nothing wrong with it. Alright, let's look at this guy's story. Is he naked? What is he doing? Okay, he's putting some clothes on. Thankfully, good. Ashiendo called out the door to his father's room. Okay, I'm heading out. Sure. His father sounded unconcerned. He didn't even open the door. Sure you don't want me to stay in here in the shop? It's not like we're gonna get any customers, Ashi grimaced. Yeah, I guess not. The drawer by the front door held a stack of heavy-duty trash bags. Ashi pulled a few of them out. Guess it's gonna be that kind of day. He stuffed the trash bags into his pocket and then slipped on his favorite pair of sneakers. The entryway to Achi's home also led into the family shop. Various pieces of electronics were piled up like so much junk in the tiny retail space. The slightest bump brought the risk of an avalanche. Achi wove his way through the gaps in the appliances like a spelunker exploring a cave. From Shibuya Station, if you make your way past the 109 building, then up through Dogenzaka, you'll come across an old shopping district. Nestled in its outskirts is Endo Electronics, in the same place it's been for decades. Within its dimly lit interior you'll find rows of wares all caked in dust. At a glance, you might as well assume the place was closed. A mom-and-pop place like Endo's couldn't compete with the big consumer chains booming throughout Shibuya. So far the store had remained in business thanks to the locals who appreciated that they made house calls to do repairs. But things weren't looking good for the future. Achi, the eldest son and nominal successor to the business, had no interest whatsoever in working there. Achi stepped out of the shop and into the sunny morning air. The good weather lifted his spirits. Alrighty, time to do this. He unfurled one of the big garbage bags which caught the wind and fluttered like a cape. And then he slowly made his way towards Shibuya Station, scanning his surroundings all the while. Sheesh, this place is filthy. He paused to pick up a plastic bottle that had been tossed on the ground. Then with a heavy sigh, he slipped the crushed receptacle into his trash bag. He'd been picking up trash around town like this for about 6 months now. It had gotten so that the sort of garbage most people would hardly notice stood out to him like a sore thumb. Most days he'd fill his trash bag up to the top by the time he made it from his house in Dogenzaka to the train station. Today he was halfway to the station when a woman's anxious voice caught his attention. I'm sorry, and I'm in a bit of a hurry here. He looked up and saw a timid-looking woman being confronted by 2 men, one with brown hair, one with black. From the look of them, he guessed that the men were scouts for some hostess club. He ran into this sort of thing pretty frequently on his trash-cleaning walks around town. Another kind of trash to take care of. Achi quickly interposed himself between the girl and the 2 recruiters. Hey, can't you see you're bothering her? Huh, who the hell are you? The 2 men glared. Take a hike, pal. Achi stood his ground. Look, she ain't interested. We're just gonna have to find some other mark. The hustler's annoyance turned into open rage. Well, listen to you. Got a bit of a mouth, huh, buddy? The brown-haired thug smacked his lips around his chewing gum like a dog worrying a bone. How about we take this someplace more quiet, yeah? Why is that a note? Someplace more quiet. What this can mean can depend on the person speaking. To a young woman, let's go someplace more quiet might suggest a cafe or a park. And to a street punk, it might mean an alley. where the passers-by are unlikely to interrupt. Thank you, Gabe. The girl stood by uneasily watching the goings-on. Hey, take it easy. I'm not looking for trouble. Is that supposed to be an apology? On your knees and beg, pal. The man spat his gum onto the ground. Ooh, it's a real bad thing to do in Shibuya. As she looked down at the glistening wad of gum on the sidewalk, his last shred of goodwill vanished. You better pick that up right now. What? Didn't you hear me? As I told you to get down on your knees and... Archie's hand shot out, grabbing the man by the jaw. Whoa, easy, pal. The other man's bravado drained from his face. Archie tightened his grip on the brown hair hustler's jaw. Sweat dripped from the man's reddening brow. The man struggled, but Archie just tightened his grip. Gum's a real pain in the ass to clean up after it's gotten stuck onto the street, you know. Ever stop to consider that? Wait, are you? The other hustler's panicked eyes had fixed on Archie's chest. Gah! Oh crap! That shirt, man. The guy's voice was starting to break. That's mean clean. A guy with a mean clean shirt carrying around a trash bag? That means you're... His face went pale. What? Mean gloom? The other man echoed his word through his held-shut jaw, tears welling up in his eyes. Get it right, pal. As she clenched the man's jaw harder still. It's mean clean. Ow! We're sorry, man. You're Archie, right? Dude, we honestly had no idea. Come on, man, you gotta cut us some slack. The man scrambled to snatch the wad of gum off the street, stuffing it into his pants pocket. Ugh. Finally, Archie let go of his companion. The brown-haired hustler's face was twisted up with fear, tears streaming down his cheeks. Gasping out hasty apologies, the two thugs scampered off. So what is this guy, some kind of like environmental superhero? Hey, so a shy smile came to the girl's face. Thank you for saving me. Oh, so they just tell you the girl's name and her school. Okay. Well, why not? No, I apologize. Huh? The girl said in surprise. You'll run into creeps like that now and then, but don't hold it against us. Shibuya's a good town. Yeah, okay. She gave her a quick wave, then turned down and continued his way down Dogenzaka. Archie was Shibuya born and raised. He was keenly aware of all the changes the ward had seen since he was a kid. Grocery stores and inconspicuous little side streets, tiny parks nestled between buildings, Archie knew it like the back of his hand. Trash, human or otherwise, had no place in this town, not on his watch. So he's a good guy. Archie made his way down to Shibuya Station. Throngs of people shuffled to and fro across the scramble. The view shifted constantly from one moment to the next, almost as if the city itself were alive. And if the city was a living thing, then Shibuya Station was its heart, with streets like the Bunkamura Dori and Sentogai serving as the arteries pumping a bloodstream made of people. The streets have all been lost down. Today as ever, the heart was pumping that blood to every nook and cranny of Shibuya. And there was Archie, just another part of this great urban organism. Guess I'm one of the city's white blood cells. Or maybe, maybe I'm a red blood cell. Hold on. Is that right? Or did I have it right the first time? White blood cells eliminate pathogens from the bloodstream. Red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body. Archie was probably thinking of white blood cells. I don't know how I feel about the writing so far. It's okay. I feel like me reading it aloud reveals imperfections more readily than if I was to read it to myself in my head. Okay, let's keep going. Emerging from his reverie, he noticed a rather conspicuous young woman standing by the statue of Hachiko outside Shibuya Station. So this is the girl. Ooh, she's totally my type. Dun dun. My type. To be up someone's alley. To be someone's cup of tea. Thank you, game. Wonder if she's a model or some small-type actress or something. Looks like she's waiting for someone. Probably another guy. Dang. Good-looking as she was, there was no way she wasn't already taken. What kind of guy scored a girl like that? Probably the rich-ass CEO of an IT company or something. Crouching down to tie off the trash bag, he continued gazing wistfully at the girl. Then he noticed something peculiar. She was carrying an attaché case, the kind a businessman might use. It was a large case, and apparently so heavy that she was struggling to hold it despite using both hands. A. Now what kind of person makes a young lady lug something heavy like this? Actually figured he'd offer to carry it for her. Or B. But first, I gotta dump this trash. He looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. So I feel like you shouldn't approach her if he's already carrying a huge bag of trash. And also, the first option is gonna make those detectives jump on you. So I feel like if we pick B, this will dovetail the story, and our old friend Kano isn't gonna resign from his job because he's an idiot. Alright, so first he's gotta dump the trash. He looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. And the guy says, now Archie won't approach Hitomi, which means he will avoid being arrested by Kano. At the same time, Kano's fate will also change, and he will no longer wind up at a bad end. So let's switch back to Kano's story using the time chart. Press triangle to open it. And it's funny to me that he needs to find a trash can, and it's going to take him some time. Because in Japan, there's notoriously few trash cans. You're going to need to walk for a good deal there, Archie. Alright, so here's the time chart. Shows the protagonist's progression throughout the story. Decision points are marked with the symbol. So if anyone's seen Bandersnatch, you'll know exactly what this is. Kano's fate has changed based on Archie's actions. Select Kano's 1030 block, then press X. That's such a satisfying sound effect. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, let's go. Let's move on. So let's go to 1030 here. I like it. So it's like a documentary that rewinds time, except you play it. That's cool. I suppose you could call it that. Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. And so it's back to the bit where he finds his girlfriend's picture on the phone. There he is! Kuze's voice choked suddenly through Kano's earpiece. The man in the black coat. Okay, that guy is extremely evil looking. He's not Japanese, looks to be in his early 30s. Okay, now another man has appeared instead. By changing what Archie did, you also changed Kano's story. A foreign man has emerged from the crowd, about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He made his way towards her, his expression blank. He didn't match the description Hitomi had given them, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper was using an accomplice to snatch the ransom payment. I've read this before. Alright, Sasayama raised an eyebrow. This may be our guy. This was it. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. He bent his knees ready for action. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. It's not as exciting the second time. Okay, this is super creepy now. Was this the culprit? Or perhaps... The stranger took a hold of the attaché case. Dun-dun! It was him! Unmasked, the detectives began to close in. Let's go, Kano. On it! Sasayama and Kano leapt into action. They never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man veered suddenly, running towards them. The giant keep out on the screen. Kano's story had suddenly hit a keep out. Keep out refers to a point in the story where progress is currently stopped. In order to advance beyond the keep out, you need to jump from another protagonist's story. At 10:30, Archie has a text. Young man in a suit, set as red keywords. Checking these red keywords will allow you to jump from Archie's story back to Kano's. Now head back to Archie's story and keep an eye out for that key phrase. That's pretty interesting. So I can press triangle to go back to the disaster log, so to speak. And we go back to here, and I think this is going to affect the outcome. Interesting. But I don't understand, because we picked that one, and now we need to make him carry the briefcase? Okay, so he's looking for a bin again. Huh? A man had come up beside the girl. He was dressed in black and he wasn't Japanese. It looked like they were having a conversation. The girl nodded tensely at something the man said. Archie stared. Something tells me it's not her boyfriend. The girl handed the attaché case over to the man. He took hold of it with his right hand and began walking briskly away. Whoa! A nearby homeless man suddenly leapt over Archie and broke into a run, as if he'd been waiting for this very moment. Dun dun! Homeless man. Yuji Sasayama, a detective within the Shibuya precinct, known as the cosplay detective due to the strange outfits he wears while on stakeouts. He's partnered with Shinya Kano for the kidnapping investigation. Thank you, game. Sprinting alongside him was a young man in a suit. That is the key word, so time to jump. I see, so you press square to underline it, and then we can use this to clear out the keep out from Kano's story. Okay. Makes sense. This is a much more involved visual novel than what I've been used to. It's not just reading, I guess. I feel like in the future there's going to be much more switching back and forth between storylines. Okay, so we jump, so we advance another story. Let's press X. And this is a good way to make sure the reader has all the necessary information before they get to the next plot point, I guess. Let's go, Kano. On it. Sasayama and Kano leapt into action. You did it, jump successful. Before too late, you will often need to jump to get past another character's keep out. Jump from red keywords to clear a keep out. You must keep this in mind as you advance through the story. Okay, there won't be any more tutorial messages for a while. If you get stuck somewhere, try changing protagonists or making different decisions to advance. You can now use the time chart in the main menu. From the main menu, you can access gameplay explanations and adjust settings. Press triangle to open the time chart, press options to open the main menu. Alright, we're into the game proper now. Tutorial is over. Whoa. But they never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man suddenly veered, running straight towards them. What? Clutching sight of the two detectives, the suspect staggered to a halt and bolted off in a new direction. Kano whipped off his costume glasses and followed in hot pursuit. At the crosswalk, the signal changed to red and the flow of foot traffic abruptly halted. Just as quickly, hundreds of cars all lurched back into motion. There was no escape for the culprit now, or so it appeared. The converging cops slowed their pace, confident in their man was cornered. Then the foreigner barreled straight into the intersection, dodging between the oncoming cars without any hesitation. The mob of detectives came to a halt, not eager to rush to their deaths along with him. Kano, however, remained in hot pursuit, charging into the traffic at the crossing. Kano, are you crazy? Come back! Kano heard Sasayama shouting, but his feet kept carrying him onwards. Oh my goodness. With shouts and sirens echoing all around him, Kano closed in on the foreigner. Just a little closer and be tackling range. He leaned forward, preparing to pounce, his eyes fixed on the culprit's feet. It was now or never. Kano, back off. Don't take him down. It was Kuze shouting through Kano's earpiece. Huh? Kano hesitated in surprise. Had he really just been ordered to not apprehend the criminal? Let him go for now. The real perp is somewhere else. Dun dun. Real perp. Perp is police jargon for perpetrator. Here, Kuze is referring to the fact that the principal offender in the case must be elsewhere. Thank you, game. What had happened to the plat? He'd been told that all personnel were to secure the area ASAP. Didn't HQ want them to catch the perpetrator? Arrest team to stay on the foreigner's tail. Forensics team get busy cross-referencing photos. Arrest team. So these are the guys that are meant to catch the dude. Forensics team. These are the guys that are meant to investigate the crime scene. Even if this foreigner was only an underling hired for this one task, the police had now tipped their hand that they'd been lying in wait. Oof. If they didn't lock things down now and get more info on the kidnapper, a girl's life might be at stake. Kano recalled another maxim from his Dick diary. Dick dictum number 12. Always assume a worst case scenario. This is terrible advice. This is awful advice. No one should follow this advice. If Kuze had told him to let this guy go, that implied he was counting on the team that was now in position. If the crook had planned a way to break through the police dragnet and escape with a ransom, and he succeeded, what was the right call here? Should he take the guy down or back off after all? Whew. Now we've got a choice, and this is not that easy of a choice. Either we catch this dude, or we follow our orders. This is very good choice-making music, I appreciate this. I feel like I should follow orders. I feel like it's going to lead to less chaos. Kuze's instructions had been clear. Let the other officers chase after the guy. Kano had his own job to do. I feel like the story so far had been punishing me for taking the first assumption of what I should do. And the first assumption here that I have is to tackle the dude. So I'm going to go for the opposite. He broke off his pursuit, pointing the next wave of detectives in the direction of the foreigner had fled. Kano had almost gotten close enough to get a good look at the guy's face, but if Kuze had ordered him to let the guy go, well, his boss should know what he was doing. The perp was someone else's problem now. He had just ceased his pursuit when Kuze's panicked voice sounded shrill in his ear. "Eep, someone's taken Hitomi!" Kano recognized Kuze's trademark squawking immediately. "Subject is male. He appears to be carrying a gun. He's fleeing in the direction of Meiji Dori." What? Kano could hardly believe it. Hitomi had been kidnapped. Had she been abducted by whoever taken Maria? But why? Someone must have been waiting for the moment when the police took their eyes off her. Something's very wrong here. What in the world is going on? Kano hurried to search for the man who'd taken Hitomi. If he was heading towards Meiji Dori, there was a good chance he'd gone down one of the alleyways nearby. After darting through the side streets, he spotted a different man, another foreigner, crossing an intersection a few dozen meters ahead. The man was dressed in black, just like the guy who grabbed the ransom money. Kuze's right, the kidnapper wasn't acting alone. But wait, something was amiss. Hitomi isn't with him. Where was she? Kano skidded around the corner, then stopped short. The man in black was standing there, pointing a gun right at him. Before Kano could react, the man fired. Kano felt hot all over, as if he was on fire. All except for his cheek pressed against the asphalt, and the palms of his hands. They felt so cold. There was nothing he could do. Nothing, that is, except lie there and watch as his killer turned and walked away. So we're at another bad end. Number 4 shot by a foreigner. You see the hints? Hints. By trying to find the man who'd taken Hitomi, Kano ran into a different criminal, and unfortunately for him, he got shot. If the criminal hadn't been able to get near Hitomi, she probably wouldn't have been taken. Have Archie make the choice to talk to Hitomi instead at 10:35. So now he's not getting tackled. Awesome. To the... There. To the time charts. Let's jump to here. Let's keep going from young man in a suit. Whoa! A nearby homeless man suddenly leapt over Archie and broke into a run, as if he'd been waiting for this very moment. Sprinting alongside him was a young man in a suit. Then, seemingly from everywhere, a whole bunch of other guys burst into motion. First one, then another. A third, a fourth, a fifth, over a dozen now. What the heck? Clearly something big was going down. Were they after the attaché case? Within moments, Archie lost sight of them all through the crowd. With that many people chasing him, the guy with the case was sure to get caught. But wait, what about that girl? Archie turned back around. The girl was still there. She was staring in the direction that the man who'd taken the case had gone, a worried expression on her face. So choice now, Archie couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Maybe he should talk to her and ask what was going on. Or B, another crazy day in Shibuya. They had to be shooting a scene for a film on location. It would be a mistake to intrude. Look, I know I'm gonna sound awful, but I want to see how they turn this into a bad end. Another crazy day in Shibuya. This had to be a film. Yeah, I bet that's what this is. Some TV show about a kidnapping, and the girl has to make the ransom handoff. And there's probably some actor lurking around here playing the suave, handsome detective. Archie gave a chuckle and turned away. A soothing breeze blew by as wispy clouds drifted overhead. They picked a nice day for a shoot. Smiling inwardly, he resumed his trash-picking mission, wondering what other surprises the day would hold. A few moments later, he heard a loud bang and the scramble went into an uproar. Huh, someone blow a tile? People were running from all directions to see what had made the sound. Oh, maybe they're shooting an action scene now. Archie was a tad bit curious, but he strolled away from the scramble without looking back. Maybe he'd head out to Yotsuya today to stretch his legs a bit. Yotsuya, a neighborhood of the Shinjuku ward in the southern part of Tokyo, located approximately 4 kilometers northeast of Shibuya. Huh. It was best not to get distracted. There was trash that needed collecting. It's a much gentler bad end than I thought it would be. Your future is garbage. Archie decided to go on collecting trash because he decided the commotion in the scramble was probably just a TV show in progress. He'll probably have a pretty uneventful day, which is all well and good for him, but the girl actually was in danger, as he'd have discovered if he had investigated further. He missed his chance to help her out, go back and try making a different choice. I love that. I love that they gave you the opportunity to screw that up that badly. Alright, let's go back to the timesheet. Okay, so let's find the good end. Oops, I don't want that. Ugh. I don't want my future to be garbage. So I don't get to go back to man in a red suit, so man in a black suit, so now we just need to speed through this. There's no auto. Okay, so we know that okay. Also there's a log. Okay, good. Yep, so maybe we should talk to her. But just as he was making up his mind, a middle-aged man in a ratty business suit shuffled awkwardly over to her first. He's got a cane. Was there something wrong with one of his legs? He was using a cane to walk. Then one of his hands slipped into his jacket pocket. Ashi could scarcely believe his eyes. That is a small gun. A revolver? A done? Revolver. Colt Detective Special. A .38 caliber revolver introduced in 1927 by Colt Manufacturing Company. A classic example of a snub-nosed revolver. As the name implies, the weapon is frequently carried by detectives, narcotic officers, and the like for self-defense. Thank you, game. Suddenly, a young man came running through the crowd. Seeing him, the man with the cane turned on his heel and vanished in the scramble. Something big was going down. What is all this? The young man was closing in on the girl, his expression grim. That guy's up to no good. Achi sprang into motion. He just kicked the detective in the back. Leaping high, Achi delivered a flying kick right between the man's shoulder blades. Oh, that's very intimate. The heads are right next to each other. The guy went down, but he recovered surprisingly fast, spinning back to his feet to grapple with Achi. What the hell is your problem? What the hell is your problem, man? Achi snapped. The two stared each other down as the crowd swirled around them. Let go of me. You let go of me first. After you let go of me, sure. You first, pal. Don't call me pal, man. Don't call me man, pal. Neither man was willing to yield. Now everyone's looking at you. The crowd had parted to avoid the scuffle. Passers-by were staring from all sides. Those are some really judgmental eyes I'm looking at right now. Well, crap. Actually got a sudden sinking feeling. What the hell am I even doing? Jumped in over my head as usual. His anger melted away. He loosened his grip. Without further argument, the other man let go of Achi's jacket. Turning quickly away, the stranger hurried over to the statue of Hachiko, where he dropped to his knees, dejected. The girl who had been standing there was nowhere to be seen. Maybe this was the guy she'd been waiting on. The guy was clearly upset that she was missing. Ashi actually kind of felt bad for him. He decided it would be wise to leave while the guy's attention was elsewhere. So he just walks away. He just kicks some guy in the back and walks away. Whew. He hurried along the road to his house. The wind had gone out of his sails, and he didn't feel much like cleaning up trash anymore. Ah, well, I guess I'll read some manga and go to bed. Better play it safe before the day got any worse. Is this another bad end? So I need to make a decision that doesn't involve me kicking the guy in the back. Archie's interference with the young man, brackets, it was Kano, disrupted the detective's sting. If Archie hadn't acted on impulse when he saw Kano heading towards Hitomi, things might have gone differently. But how can you make sure Kano doesn't return to the scramble and startle Archie? The key lies further along in Kano's story. I'm getting annoyed that they keep tossing me back and forth between these two storylines. I know they're trying to teach me about this mechanic of the game, but there was no way of me to see that coming, right? I couldn't have used my deductive skills to be like, oh, I'm not going to make that choice. They very clearly fumble me into the wrong decision so that I know next time I have to go a different way. It's still very linear at this point. What was the right call here? Should he take the guy down or back off after all? Really? So I'm supposed to take the guy down? Okay, let's tackle him then. That definitely seemed like it would turn into a bad end, but sure, let's tackle him. Oh man, I see the vending machines in the background. could really go for a grapefruit soda right now. If anyone in Japan is listening to this, there is a special type of grapefruit soda that you can buy from certain vending machines. It comes in a green can, it's by Kirin, and it's amazing. You must try this grapefruit soda. I've been thinking about it ever since I left Japan 3 years ago, and I can't find it anywhere in Sydney. It's such a good soda. Okay, tangent over. The man darted down a narrow alleyway. Kano ran faster. The man sprinted through the side streets. Evidently, he knew his way around Shibuya pretty well. Man, I really want soda now. He noticed 2 people over by a trash pile. At first, they appeared to be a young couple. Then, looking more closely, he realized the girl was Hitomi. Mr. Kuze, I've located Hitomi Osawa. The couple took off running, the rough-looking guy dragging Hitomi by the hand. So in this timeline, they still haven't met yet. She's with a man in his 20s. It looks like she's being led away against her will. Clarify, please, Kuze demanded. What's going on? I'm not sure. Was this guy a member of some criminal group? It looked like the 2 were running away from something. Alright, we'll handle the foreigner. You go after Hitomi. Got it. Kano sprang into action. Stop right there. The young man glanced back at Kano. But rather than stopping, he picked up speed, continuing to drag Hitomi along with him. She didn't seem quite able to keep up. Kano knew he could catch them. He tried to close the distance in a sprint. After a short distance, the young man stopped, realizing he couldn't outrun his pursuer. Shielding Hitomi behind him, he glowered at Kano. Why did you run off? Kano demanded. Because you were chasing us. A blatant lie. People didn't just bolt like that without good reason. The young tough started edging away, keeping Hitomi behind him. Kano followed. Look, just let the girl go. The guy glanced back at Hitomi. She shook her head fearfully. Maybe this troublemaker had wanted to keep her mouth shut. You've got this, Kano. Just don't let them out of your sight. Gah! A sudden blow to the top of his head had left him staggering. I was worried it was going to be another Dick Diary moment. His eyes spun as he reeled with vertigo. It is a Dick Diary moment. There was a flapping sound and a vague black shape wheeled above him. Was that a crow? It was the last thing Kano saw before his vision went dark. Is that another bad end? Was that a crow? In the midst of chasing the man who had snatched the attaché case, Kano happened across Hitomi and Achi. While confronting them, he suffered a blow to the head and was knocked out cold, but Achi only came this way because he thought it was the quickest way to escape with Hitomi. If he'd gone for the police box instead, things might have gone differently. The key is what Archie does at 10:35, so I have to go back to Archie's storyline and make a choice that wasn't available to me last time that led me to a bad end. Okay, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not going to read out something that I've already seen before. Okay, he's got to talk to her. Wait, is this the wrong choice? Because there's a guy on a cane that pulls out a gun. That's immediately a bad end. So the thing just said go back to 10:35, which is this one, right? No, I think it's still here. I think they're just gonna introduce a new choice here then. Yep, so it's a gun. I've definitely not seen this before. With a single fluid motion, the man lifted up the gun and pointed it in the girl's direction. He was aiming right for her head. Huh? The girl had noticed the man with the cane now. Seeing the gun pointed right at her, she froze in fear. Ashi didn't hesitate. Breaking into a full run, he tackled the gunman with all his might. Caught off guard, the man scrambled to the pavement. But the would-be assassin kept hold of his weapon and quickly scrabbled back to his feet. Ashi knew he had to act fast. He grabbed the ashen-faced girl by the arm and attempted to drag her away. "This way," he shouted. She just stared at him, uncomprehending. trembling like a startled animal. Come on, run! Finally the girl snapped out of her daze and gave a fearful nod. So this option wasn't even given to me last time, I guess I got a bad end. I kicked the police officer in the back. Okay, so let's go to the police box. I'm not wasting any more time. Still pulling the girl by the hand, Ashi headed for the police box outside the train station. But it was empty. There were always policemen staffing these things. Why did it have to be unmanned now? Ashi flashed a worried glance behind him and he saw the assassin in pursuit like a man possessed. Yikes, this is not good. There was nothing they could do but run. With the frightened girl in tow, Ashi ran beneath the JR Yamanote Line railway overpass. Dun dun, Yamanote Line. A railway loop that services the Tokyo metropolis. Typically, the morning rush is quite intense, with the stretch from Ueno Station to Okachimachi Station sometimes crowding as high as 216% capacity, roughly 300 people riding in a space designed for 143 passengers, unrelated to the Yamate Line subway that operates in the city of Kobe. This is a game that's advertising for Japan, right? So why are they saying that the train lines are 200% capacity? That's not very flattering. Don't worry, just trust me, he told her. But first, they sped past a convenience store where an employee was cleaning up the sidewalk. Here, take this, will ya? Archie tossed over the bag of trash. Hey, wait, what? This way, they slipped through the crowd and into a nearby back alley. But this way's a dead end, the girl said breathlessly. Like I said, just trust me. Stopping abruptly, Ashi kicked down a wooden plank covering a gap between two buildings, clearing a space that a person could fit through. See, we can get away through here. In you go. But the girl just stood there looking terrified. What's the matter? Ashi asked. Come on, we gotta hurry. But I... She looked at him as if he too was about to pull a gun on her. You could hardly blame her. After all, he was just some random guy who would turn up out of nowhere. But this was no time for dawdling. The man with the cane appeared at the end of the alley. If they just stood there, he was going to catch up with them. Okay, sweetheart, hear me out, he said in a rush. The name's Ashi Endo, I live in the neighborhood, and I'm not the kind of guy to stand idly by when a girl is being chased by some killer. So please just trust me and I'll do my best to keep you safe. It's a great speech, very trustworthy. He hoped the look in his eyes could convince her that he was being on their level. After a painfully long moment, the girl nodded her acceptance. Phew. Right, let's start with this. They had paused beside an enormous stack of beverage crates. With a quick shove, Ashi knocked the whole pile down, sending it cascading across the pursuer's path. Now that was a close call. I mean, he could just shoot them. The man with the cane was floundering, struggling to get past the fallen crates. My bad, man, Ashi called out. Mind cleaning that up for me? The man scowled back at them and fumbled for his gun. Ashi flashed him a wave goodbye and slipped away between the buildings with the girl. You know, this is a full motion game. It feels weird that these are all photographs instead of filmed versions, because this seems very physical. I guess maybe they didn't want to do stunts? Who knows? Hurrying down a narrow alley, they emerged onto a side street lined with dive bars and clubs. Assuming the man with the cane hadn't given up, he would probably lie in wait on the path back to the main road. Ashi decided the best bet was to try and stay inconspicuous rather than get caught. Guess we can lie low here for a bit, he said. He led the girl to the entrance of a tiny old hostess club. She followed him reluctantly. Ashi flicked the switch inside the front door and a chintzy chandelier glowed to life. He sat the girl down on the small sofa beside the counter. She gave him a worried look. Ashi felt a pang of embarrassment as he realized what she must be thinking. Oh no, don't try to get the wrong idea. I'm not going to try any funny business. Someone I know used to run this place. It's not in business anymore, so I figure we're safe in here. The girl chuckled at his evident discomfort. Alright then, she said. So we good? We're good. Okay, well, good. Ashi made a vague attempt to straighten his disheveled clothes. So how about some introductions? I'm Ashi Endo, like I said earlier. You can just call me Achi. I'm Hitomi Osawa. You can call me Hitomi, I guess. With each word out of Hitomi's mouth, Achi felt his heart sing. She was charming, personable, just about everything about her was captivating. Achi had never met another girl like her. Achi? What? Is something the matter? He was spacing out there for a bit. Archie shook his head to dispel his daze. Damn it, this is no time to get all starry-eyed. He needed to think of some way to keep her safe from the guy who was after her. Look, can you tell me what the heck is going on? Please, I need to know if I'm going to help you. Right, okay. I'm not really sure where to begin. Hitomi looked down, lost in thought. Apparently hers was a long story. Alright, she said at last. I guess I'll just explain things as they happened. Wait, hold up. Could you keep it as simple as you can? I mean, I'm not really the sharpest tool in the shed. Complicated explanations aren't exactly my strong suit. Okay, Hitomi chuckled, I'll try my best. She got it comfortable and then started her story. So is she not a playable character? I guess not. So last night someone abducted my sister. The kidnapper demanded that I make the ransom handoff personally. He told me to stand by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya at 10 o'clock in the morning to make the exchange. So I did. And this man came by and took the attaché case. Ooh. So fast. Took the attaché case with the money, and then afterwards that other guy with the cane turned up and pointed his gun at me and... Whoa, I'm sorry, hold up a sec. Archie had suddenly lost the thread of the conversation. I see what they're trying to do there. Lost the thread. At times like this you can press up to go back and reread what you've already seen. They're trying to be so fresh with these tutorials. Could you say that again, but like simpler? Huh, okay. I'm just having trouble following is all. I mean, is this the plot to some movie or soap opera? No, that's not. Or some kind of hidden camera show? This is real, this really happened. The look in Hitomi's eyes was dead serious. She's gotta be telling the truth, what could be the point of lying? And he had seen the attaché case and the gunman himself. How much was the ransom, if you don't mind my asking? Hitomi hesitated. 50 million yen, she said after a moment. Archie gave a whistle of amazement. The detectives told me that it was a typical amount for a kidnapper to ask for. It's plenty, that's for sure. I guess there's good money in that sort of thing. As soon as the words were out, he realized his blunder. Ah, sorry, I shouldn't have put it that way. He fidgeted awkwardly, and Hitomi looked away. I'm an idiot. But, okay, I think I get this kidnapping thing. So I'm guessing those guys who chased the guy who took the ransom were undercover cops? He replayed the scene in his head. But then, the kidnapper took the attaché case and ran, right? So if you were empty-handed, why did that guy with the cane come after you? I'm honestly not sure, Hitomi's words trailed off. This was clearly difficult for her to talk about. Anyway, we should probably get you to the police as soon as we... No, we can't do that. Hitomi's tone was resolute. I can't take this to the police. Why not? Archie waited for an answer, but none came. After a long and awkward silence, she stood up from her seat. I really appreciate the help, but I should go now. She gave Archie a deep bow. Nuh-uh, hold on, what do you mean go? Go where? He hurried to intervene as she headed for the door. I don't want to cause you any more trouble. I'll figure the rest out on my own somehow. Hey, I said hold on! Hitomi ignored him and opened the door, and their argument came to an abrupt halt. Standing there was the man with the cane, his revolver in his hand. To be continued. So Archie's story ends here. However, Shinya Kano still has more to do. Read along further in Kano's story. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, my voice is a little bit tired here, so I might just leave it there. I feel really bad whenever I play visual novels is because they're not renowned for having the best openings. Every visual novel that I've played and enjoyed, it always took me a few hours before I got into the bit where I was kind of going on and being pulled by the weight of the story. Right now it's still kind of ordinary for me, and I feel like it might be the same for people who are watching this. It's alright, they've got a hook, you've got things to think about, but it's not it's not at that point yet where you're really hooked on the story, you know? So I don't know, maybe I'll revisit this game a bit down the line if you want an episode 2. I don't know how much more I can read in this session, that's all, and the video is getting a bit too long anyway. So maybe we'll see this next week. If there's interest, I will do a second episode and see where the story ends up going. Otherwise, this game is on sale on the PlayStation Store as well for not that much, so if it is interesting to you, a detective, full-motion visual novel that shows off the city of Tokyo and the Shibuya districts really well. I mean, I recognize so many locations just from seeing these photographs. And yeah, I think it would be pretty enjoyable. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The police tape reminds me a bit of Durarara, the anime that's like this but in Ikebukuro, you know? Good vibes. If you want to check that out, I recommend it. And next week, we'll see if I want to stick around with this or if I want to try something else. Alright, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.